Welcome back, Mando.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Greetings, bucketheads. Mevar Tagar. Welcome to our 280th Imperial Party People episode of Mandovision. I am your host, Nargai Tom, and thank you for checking out this small independent Star Wars podcast. We're so glad you're here. Reach out to us on those socials at Mando_Vision on Twitter /X and Insta. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, and sharing this show with all the Mandalorians in your coverts. All right, Bucketheads, we are back for another episode of Star Wars Rebels Rewatch. And this episode is a hoot. Hoot might be a poor choice of words, but I really like this episode a lot. Really kind of get into some of the mythology they're building in the show. Bringing back in Callus and the Inquisitors. Like, it's all kind of coming to a head as the hunt for this rebel cell on Lothal heightens. And again, we also get Empire Day, a celebration of all things tyranny, which also coincides with our hero's birthday. And it's listen, let me just be perfectly honest. It was funny to me. Like, I don't have the words for it. There is just something that slipped through the cracks for me. Like, oh yeah, Ezra and Luke and Leia are like all the same age. Like, they all could have been besties if it weren't for the rise of the Empire. It's just one of those things that, like, again, it just sort of slips through the cracks because you're in this different time period. You're not in the original trilogy. Then Ezra's removed from the timeline extensively. And it's like, oh yeah, these characters would be all the same age. You duh. And of course, Ezra's birthday falls on Empire Day, so this is a tough one for him. But this episode gives us a little look into the past for Ezra, who his parents were, what they were doing, and sort of like the ways that they resisted the Empire back in the day, back when he was young, helping out the young Rudian Sibo. It's a really good episode. I liked so many elements of it. And of course, it's part one. A big cliffhanger at the end of this one. So that's good stuff. And I don't know if I have anything else to really say about it other than, like, let's get into it. You know, the episode is awesome. It's exciting. Good action, good character stuff. And I'm here for it. As far as the Star Wars news goes out there, I've done a reminder. This episode is being recorded a week or two in advance because I will be away from my computer for some time. So if anything is broken, I will not know about it to have it on this podcast. Stay tuned for maybe special mini episodes that might drop if I can record them over my phone quickly enough, or maybe I'll do something on Insta Live if there's a new trailer or anything like that happens. So make sure you're on the socials as we kind of move forward here. It's an exciting time in the world of Mandovision as we race to get season 1 of Rebels under our belt before Skeleton Crew debuts. I was looking at the calendar. It's gonna be a challenge, and I don't know if I'm up for the challenge, but we're gonna do our best to get there, my friends. All right. So let's go ahead, talk about get into the particulars of this episode. Give credit where credit is due, as we like to say on this podcast. This is Star Wars Rebels, Season 1, Episode 8, Empire Day. Written by Henry Gilroy, directed by Stephen G. Lee, our primary voice cast for this week's episode. Taylor Gray is Ezra Bridger. Vanessa Marshall is Harrison Dula. Freddie Prinze Jr. is Kanan Jarrus. Tia Sakar as Sabine Wren. Steve Blum as Zeb Orielos. Dave Filoni as Chopper. David Oluwalo is Agent Callus. David Shaughnessy is Commander Aresco. D. Bradley Baker, back in the fold, as Ephraim Bridger's voice and Old Joe. Brent Spiner returns as Gal Travis. David Accord is the lead TIE Fighter pilot. Kath Soucy is Minister May Keith Tua. Jason Isaacs is the Inquisitor. And Peter frickin' McNichol is Sibo. All right, friends. Our plot for this week's episode. While disrupting Empire Day festivities in order to destroy a prototype TIE Fighter, the crew learns a refugee has important information and must get him off planet before the Imperials find him. Indeed. All right, let's go ahead, get into the episode proper. You know what that means. It's time. Strap on your buckets and let's go.
Get out of here. We'll hold them off.
You're going to have to relocate the covert.
This is the way.
This is the way.
We open on Lothal. Kanan, Ezra having another training session. It's not going well. You may be noticing a recurring theme about that. It's not going well, the training of Ezra. Too old to begin the training, some might say. Some being Yoda. But Kanan's trying nonetheless. And his lesson for the day is urging Ezra to learn how to connect, to learn how to feel the Force in others and allow connection to occur with other beings in the galaxy. And it's an important lesson because Ezra, as we've seen through these first 6 or 7 episodes, he is walled off. The loss of his parents has made him put walls around himself. He doesn't form connection easily. And when he does, it's often via conflict, via putting himself in situations. Again, let's go back to the first episode. Pure antagonism towards the Ghost crew initially, right? Because that was his self-preservation. That was his method of existing. And now Kanan is urging him to start taking those walls down, to tear those walls down, allow connection to form, which is funny coming from Kanan, one of the last of the Old Guard Jedi, who's now arguing for attachment, who's now supporting the idea of attachment. And again, we have to look at Kanan, because Kanan is an example of attachment making him a better Jedi, a better person, because of his connection to Hera, him allowing himself to find connection. Go read the book. Go read, was it New Dawn? Dawn of Rebellion? Something like that. The book with Hera and Kanan. Go check it out. But it's Kanan learning how to kind of get rid of those shackles that the Jedi put on you, and embrace connection, embrace life by connecting to it. So it's a good lesson. Ezra's having a hard time with it. As we find out, this is a bad day for him. It's Empire Day on Lothal. It's also his birthday. We find that out later in the episode. And again, this episode gives us a glimpse into Ezra, his past, a little bit of his history. And again, that's got to sting. Your birthday's on Empire Day. The insinuation at this point of the show is that his parents have been potentially murdered by the Empire. Again, we don't know their fate necessarily at this point of the series, but we know it has something to do with the Empire, and so that's got to sting for him. You know, the Empire's having parades and walking around on his birthday, and he knows that the Empire, played a large role in the death or disappearance of his parents. So a lot happening here with this episode as we sort of begin to get into that psychology of Ezra Bridger. Good stuff. We get to our main part of the episode. They want to blow up a TIE fighter. They want to blow up this prototype TIE fighter that they're celebrating here on Lothal. And this brings us to the attention. Again, we find out that the Empire is heightened on security, right? Like they're looking for this rebel cell, but something else is going on too. We have TIE fighter pilots, parking their TIEs and harassing bar owners for information. They're looking for a Rodian, a deserter, Sibo. Zibo has the Lobot headgear on himself. So that's something the implants that the Empire has put on people to make them more efficient, to make them human computers for tactical purposes. And it's interesting to see TIE fighter pilots as like cops pulling you over on the freeway. It was quite the spectacle to behold. Obviously, you have the scene where they're bullying old Joe in the bar to put on that Imperial network, and then as soon as they do, Guy Treas has another message of dissent against the Empire interrupted. It's a fun sequence. It's entertaining. I did really like it, and again, it's sort of funny. It was so shocking to me to see TIE pilots basically being street cops. It was very interesting. But again, showing the sort of heightened sense of security that the Empire has right now because of the Rebel Cell, because of this deserted Sibo, and how they have to get him back. And then we find out very quickly that Ezra has a connection to Sibo as well. His parents had helped Sibo early on when Ezra was a small child. And so that helps Sibo realize that this is a person he can trust and talk to. And this is something that Ezra has to begin to come to terms with. Last week we had the episode where we needed Sabine to begin to understand that she can trust Hera and Kanan. She may not always know everything, but she can trust that they're not going to let her down. They're not going to lead her down a bad path. And for Ezra, it's like that, but it's a little bit different because it's about the emotional connection. He may trust that Hera, Kanan, and Zeb, and Sabine, and all of them are doing the right thing, are doing the things for the betterment of the galaxy. But he seems to be unwilling to, officially kind of embrace that familial connection at this point. He's still reluctant. He's still weary of opening his heart, if you will. And this is an episode that kind of begins to show us why he has to do that, why he has to allow connection, why he has to allow emotion into his life. And again, we're very subtly exploring the hypocrisy of the Jedi and like where they got it wrong. And as a side note, this is another reason why I will continually get upset whenever they talk about Luke Skywalker's Jedi Order and him bringing back and doing the same stupid crap that the Jedi before him did. It irritates me because we've been exploring this for quite some time now, and maybe Ahsoka should be like, maybe don't copycat what Yoda and those guys were doing at the time. Maybe forge your own path with the Jedi Order. And again, maybe he is. We don't know those details. I suppose I'm jumping to conclusions here, but it seemed like he was doing a lot of the same things. Just for the record. So at a certain point in the episode early on, Ezra goes off on his own. He needs to be alone as he grapples with his birthday, Empire Day, and the memories of his parents. And he's up in his little tower, and he has like what we will come to find out is like the key card to like his family home. And I sort of wonder if, because listen, this is a great scene where he's sort of communing with his parents, but is he communing with them via the Force? Is he just having like memories of things that his parents told him? Or is it kind of like a Quinlan Vos situation, like where he can act like there's like a tactile element of his Force connection with that key, so he's able to sort of have specific moments with his parents come back up. We don't know that. We don't know for sure, but it spurs him on his father's words about how we have to do something for those in need, especially those in need against the Empire. And it spurs Ezra back into action, back into the fold, helping his team as Spectre 6 here as they blow up a lot of things on Empire Day on Lothal, including that TIE prototype. I enjoyed sort of like the drunk, rednecky Kanan, very pro-Empire. Something about that was very amusing, very delightful. Enjoyed the heck out of that. But yeah, the second half of this episode, I mean, it's not even like the half really, but the action really ramps up. It's a lot of explosions. It's the Empire in pursuit of the team. We got Kanan and Ezra taking over troop transports. We have the Inquisitor. We have everyone in hot pursuit, including the Callus, as he now has an insane feud with Zeb. Zeb in particular, looking to be able to take pot shots at Callus and get back at him for what happened a couple of episodes ago, which will play significantly into the future of these two characters. but yeah, so like now it's sort of gotten a little personal for some of them, right? In more senses than just like, hey, we're doing this because the Empire's bad. Zeb now has skin in the game against Callus. He has a personal vendetta here, not just for what the Empire did to his people, but now Callus specifically. And Ezra, much the same, right? But we see a sort of a transformation with him. Like Ezra, again, always has sort of been out for himself, but he's always been against the Empire, right? And he's always tried to figure out how to balance that out to achieve what the Spectres in his team are trying to do versus his need for sort of like a vengeance against the Empire. And the words of his father now in his mind, you know, more so than when Hera said it back in the first episode. It's like, it's about helping people. You know, what they're doing is about ultimately helping people. And Ezra springs into action. He knows where to find Sibo at his old family home, where Sibo had hidden out previously before the Empire, I guess, eventually was to find him. And it's really strong emotional stuff, but also at the same time the action's great. And it's in this moment at the house when Sabine begins to put it together that this is his childhood home. This is actually Ezra's birthday on Empire Day. A kid who seemingly has lost everything at the hands of the Empire has his birthday on Empire Day when they just get to basically rub it in his face. And it's a good moment. It's really neat. They handle it, I think, really, really well. Ezra's need to now do something to just take back some control of his life. And again, helping somebody, doing it, having that be the way to get back at the Empire by helping a person with valuable intel, no less. So that's the crux of things. That's where we sort of end up at, is like, we got to get Sibo out of here. We're trying really, really hard. We're doing all kinds of big things. But between Callus and the Inquisitors, things are not looking great for our heroes. So we get into this really great action sequence. Again, Kanan versus Callus does all kinds of cool Jedi things. And they're trying to, everyone gets back aboard the Ghost, and it's time to escape. But the Inquisitor's in hot pursuit in his tie, and I love his helmet. His helmet looks great. Reportedly based on the early Ralph McQuarrie designs for Vader. It is a cool looking helmet for being a TIE pilot. I dig it the most. They begin some combat. Chopper takes one for the team. Gets knocked out of commission, firing the rear gun. Kanan, Zeb, Sabine in hot pursuit. All the fire they're under by the ties causes Ezra and Zebo to crash noggins. And like Zebo's been a little off kilter the whole episode, like moments where he's like sort of coherent and then other moments where he's like locked in like his computer brain. And when they bump heads this time around, it sort of brings Zebo out in a way we haven't seen him yet, as he sort of begins to recognize Ezra for the first time. And then he drops the doozy. He's speaking Rhodian, but Sabine's there to translate. And she says the things that he knows what happened to Ezra's parents. And apparently this is the great mystery of Ezra's life, right? So that moment alone is where we end the episode with Zebo knowing the fate of Ezra's parents. Our characters in mortal danger as the Inquisitor and the rest of the Imperial forces close in around them. How will they get out? Chopper's out of commission. It doesn't look good for our heroes, friends. It doesn't look good at all. But it's Star Wars, and I have a feeling things are going to work out A-okay. But I love the episode. It's a great episode. It's 8.5 buckets, no doubt about it. Getting like the glimpse, starting to pull back the layers of Ezra. Kanan sort of being like the self-aware Jedi, the understanding that attachment is vital to being a successful Jedi and their way they have to do things in this galaxy. There's a lot here in this episode to take a lot of comfort and enjoy. And that's why this might be the best episode of the season thus far. Good stuff. I really, really recommend rewatching it, enjoying it. And I cannot wait to talk to you guys next week about part 2. Or maybe even later this week. We'll see how anxious I get. All right, bucketheads. Great job today. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the Shop Podcast, as you always do. You guys continue to be the very, very best fans and supporters out there. Fans, that's not the word I want to use, but like supporters of this show. Thank you so, so much. Keep it up. I truly, truly appreciate every single one of you. Please reach out to me on the socials. Hit me up on Twitter/X at Mando_Vision. It's the same thing on the Instas. I'm better on the Instas, I'm not going to lie. Hit me up over there too. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. All right, bucketheads. Oh, I guess if I should mention too. Hey, we like it if you get a chance to support the show by giving us sweet, sweet, sweet 5-star reviews. They help us stand out, not get lost in the galactic shuffle of the algorithm. Thank you in advance for doing so. All right, bucketheads, we'll be back in at least a week minimum. Maximum. Wait. At the longest, we'll be back in a week. All right? Maybe we'll be back sooner because I really want to watch this next one and talk to you guys. All right. Stay great Star Wars fans. Be great Star Wars fans. Be kind, supportive, understanding, and respectful to your other fellow Star Wars fans, because this community is the best, and we want to make sure it stays the best. Thank you guys so, so much. All right. This is the Mandovision Podcast. My name is Tom, Nargai Tom. Thank you again for being here. We'll be back next week. But remember, this podcast can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.